Said Violet, I was almost named Tom. Here's how that happened. It all nearly happened. My dad, he was a genius. He was a great architect. He was a great guy in all kinds of ways, but he had some strange ideas. And when he had his first daughter, the oldest, they named her Sage, name of a spice and a wise person. They liked that name, Sage Short. Then they had a second daughter. And at that point, my dad, David, he got thinking, well, Sage Rosemary. Don't know what we can do with parsley, but parsley, sage, rosemary. And if we have a third child, if it's a boy, we'll call him Tom. So I can introduce my children, Sage, Rosemary, and Tom. Be a joke every time. I would have been living with that name. Well, in any case, I was born a girl, and but Dad didn't want to give it up. He thought, well, let's name her Tom, a girl named Tom. My mother just put her foot down. She said, no way, we're not having our little darling named Tom. So he had to give up on that. And how I got my name then, Violet, was kind of different too. Dad's favorite Shakespearean play was Twelfth Night. And the main character in that, wonderful character, a real smart woman, was named Viola. And he wanted to name me after Viola. But then he thought, it's spelled the same as Viola. And if people are going to all her life be calling her Viola if we do that. So let's call her Violet. And that'll be close enough. And so that's how I got my name, Violet. Well, Lance said, while we're on the business of names, I should tell you a little bit more about Marion. When he first came, that was 3-4 decades ago. It's been a long time ago. I wasn't even born. But Wedge had his students, he was teaching them, had his students in school write a poem, an epic poem, a pretend, what would you call it, a faux epic? A pretend epic poem about a character named Marion. It's called The Song of Marion. You could find it, it's online, he put it there. And another thing too about looking for stuff online, here's a key that not just everybody knows, I'll tell you about. When Wedge ended up teaching online, he set up his own little school. He didn't call it Wedge's School. He used a false name. He called it Frank's School. And so all this stuff you can find on there, it's going to be under Frank's School. Well, that's Wedge. That's Wedge teaching that stuff. So now you know that. Well, Violet took the subject back. She said, I have another story about a name. I heard that somewhere in this area there's a woman, I think she maybe has a restaurant down toward the beach or something. Anyway, her name is Vivian. Vivian. Can you imagine naming your daughter Vivian if you knew who Vivian was? I told you that Morgan was a witch sister to King Arthur. Well, Vivian, she was worse yet. She was this evil sorceress, pretty young woman that stole Merlin's most powerful magic away from him. And Lance said, well, who's Merlin? And, Violet was kind of surprised. You don't know who Merlin was? Merlin was the magician in King Arthur's court. No, I never heard of him. She said, you never saw Sword in the Stone, that Disney movie? No, I don't think so. No, that's too old for me. He had a wizard's duel with Madame Mim in that one. He was just drawing a blank. And what's a wizard's duel? Oh, later, I can't explain all this. Maybe that would be something that Wedge covered in Frank's School, maybe. But anyway, how about Lord of the Rings? Do you know who Gandalf is? Well, Lance said, well, yeah, of course, everybody knows who Gandalf is. Well, see, that Gandalf was based on Merlin, an old, wise, kind of weird old man that knew lots of languages. That was Merlin. And anyway, Vivian was truly evil because she basically hoodwinked him with her beauty, stole that away. Well, that's an interesting story, but I never heard it. Well, then Elaine interrupted, and she said, "You know, I'm glad that I wasn't named after anybody." And Lance said, "You know, I'm glad I wasn't named after anybody either."